All right, guys, welcome back to the Tailgate Kings. This is the kid, Casey Jones. And look, we're here with a little special edition, a little special interview here for you guys. Something that we don't usually do a lot. We've got one of the local up and coming guys that I think is really big. If you guys haven't heard of him yet, you're going to hear about him today. We've got the Assault Wrestling Alliance heavyweight champion, the Lost Art of Wrestling champ, the Alabama Wrestling Federation heavyweight champ, and just as of yesterday, the Gulf State Wrestling heavyweight champ, who he beat, the Mad Dog Gil Gracie, a Louisiana wrestling legend, beat him to win that championship. He is Big Bad Vladdy Daddy. He is the Big Bad Forever Vlad, the Russian Destruction. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking to Vladimir Koloff today. Sir, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing wonderful, especially after last night, like you said, the brand new GSW heavyweight champion, a long time coming, and quite frankly, I knew it would happen.
Yeah, man, rightfully deserved. If you don't mind, talk us through a little bit of what happened last night. I unfortunately wasn't there. I do like to travel to a lot of these events, but unfortunately couldn't make this one. Sad that I missed it in person, but talk to us about that match with Gil.
Well, this was a rematch, and it was a long time coming. We were originally set to wrestle in Morgan City in July. It did not happen. We had the opportunity here last night. Vladimir Koloff, Russian Sickle, 1, 2, 3, and here we are, GSW heavyweight champion. And I have a feeling, I say I'm forever, and the reason I do is because I have a feeling I'm going to be the GSW heavyweight champion for a long, long time. One might even say forever.
Hey, hard to argue with that. Like you said, long time coming, big rematch between you two. Huge win, huge championship win. Let's talk about another event you got coming up soon, next weekend, actually, where you're hoping to get another big win. A Saturday, August 19th in Houma, Louisiana for Pro Wrestling 225. This is the Mayor's Cup, a legendary event, a legendary annual event for Pro Wrestling 225, something that they do every year. Some huge names have won this Mayor's Cup. I mean, you look at the current 225 heavyweight champion and Christian Blake, Mayor's Cup winner. And this Saturday in the Mayor's Cup, your first matchup, you got Jet Danger. How you feeling about that match? I'm sure you're confident going in. How you feel about this matchup against Jet Danger? What are your thoughts going into this?
Well, first of all, Jet Danger. As far as I'm concerned, Russian Sickle, 1, 2, 3. As far as I'm concerned, the next match with the Mayor's Cup on the line, Russian Sickle, 1, 2, 3. Whether it take one cannonball, two cannonball, three cannonball, 4, 5, 6, 7 needs more, it does not matter. Vladimir Koloff has been on a path in pro wrestling to have stacked accolades. I was in the final two of the Super Gold Rumble, over 45 minutes this year. I am a former SEC champion, and I will become an SEC champion again. I am a former tag team champion for Pro Wrestling 225. And this Saturday night in Houma, Louisiana, it does not matter if it's Jet Danger, it doesn't matter if it's Wes Warren, Braxton Hunter, Lucha Lacoro, or Gil Gracie, the man I beat last night. Anyone that steps into the ring with me is going to get more Koloff, and I am going to get that Mayor's Cup.
Hey, look, hard to argue. And I'm glad that you brought up the rest of the competitors in the field for this Mayor's Cup. Let's talk about one that you mentioned, Wes Warren, cold-blooded, right? You guys recently picked up a big tag team win, a big tag team victory at Endgame for 225 against Braxton Hunter and Jordan Jaw. Now, I know there's a chance you guys could end up in that cup together against each other. You know, you guys seem to have formed an alliance or at least an understanding at the last show. Is there any hesitancy? I doubt it, but is there any hesitancy possibly going up against Wes Warren in that Mayor's Cup final?
Well, understanding, alliance, whatever you want to call it. Look, me and Wes Warren, we handled that tag team match pretty well. And in fact, many people, basically everyone, believed that we were an explosive force that was not going to get along against a team that seemingly had it all figured out in Jordan Jaw and Braxton Hunter. But we came out on top because we both have individual goals. Now let me outline that. Individual goals. we're both kind of in the same path right now as far as that SEC title is concerned, and things could come ahead very well at the Mayor's Cup on Saturday night. And quite frankly, I'll be honest with you, I fully expect to end up in the ring with Wes Warren by the end of that night. He is cold blooded. He is calculating. He is what he says he is. But Vladimir Koloff knows for a fact that no one's getting in his way because he has a goal in mind, and that is to reign supreme in Pro Wrestling 225 like he does everywhere else he goes. So if that means that me and him end up in that ring together, so be it. We may have an alliance, we may have an understanding, whatever you may call it. But Vladimir Koloff has individual goals at the end of the day, and that's to be the best, the very, very best.
Absolutely. And look, it's hard to argue. Been a champion pretty much everywhere you've gone, dominating force in 225 along with everywhere else. I mean, from the outside looking in as a spectator and personally as a fan, it's hard to say that even amongst all this great competition in the Mayor's Cup that I wouldn't want to see you and Wes Warren and Gil Gracie in that final three. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a lot of recent history already that would be an explosive dynamic match there. And you know what they say? All's fair in love and war, and the Mayor's Cup is a war. So there's no alliances there. Like you said, individual goals. Let's talk about some individual matchups you've had this year. Individual matchups with other individuals. Let's talk about some. This one with Gil Gracie, I'm sure, is going to rank pretty high up the list. But what are some of your favorite matches that you've had this year?
Well, let me tell you, I've had a lot happening this year, and first and foremost, one of the more recent matches against Ray Fury for Lost Arts of Wrestling, where I became the Lost Arts of Wrestling champion. That match was in 3 years in the making. I won a briefcase to earn an opportunity at that title, and then COVID happened. Shut everything down. And Lost Arts of Wrestling didn't come back until this year. We finally had our match, and after 25 minutes of back and forth, and being one of the very few men to kick out a Ray Fury's F-bomb froggy elbow, Vladimir Koloff stood tall. That's definitely up there. Like I said, this year I was in the final two of the Super Gold Rumble with the current Pro Wrestling 225 heavyweight champion. I won't say his name, but that was a big moment with a ending that I'd like to take back. And beyond that, just defending my titles all around this country, having these opportunities. It's been a good year for Vladimir Koloff.
Yeah, you could argue 2023 has been the year of Vladimir Koloff. I mean, you've been on top, like I said, basically everywhere you've gone. Second in the Super Gold Rumble next to current champion. And like you just mentioned, kicking out of the froggy elbow, nothing to scoff at. Ray Fury has been a champion pretty much everywhere he's been as well. And for you to cash in that briefcase or at least get your opportunity and not only defeat him, but kick out of that froggy elbow, huge for your career, huge for the year of Koloff. And quite frankly, I think that the year needs more Koloff. But hey, let's talk about some other matches. Maybe some matches that you haven't had yet. Who are some guys, or yeah, let's talk about that. Who are some guys that you still want to see in that ring? Every wrestler has a bucket list, right? Let's talk about some guys that are still on your bucket list.
Well, let me tell you, there is a match. I can't say who it is now, but I've been informed that in September for AWA Pro Wrestling in Mississippi, I've got a pretty big match coming up. So if you're listening to this, be sure to stay tuned to AWA Pro Wrestling to find that out. It's coming out very soon, and it's on the list. But we were talking about Pro Wrestling 225 just a moment ago. We're talking about accolades and the Mayor's Cup and titles, and I've brought up this Super Gold Rumble twice. I've wrestled this man before, but I do want to bring this up since we're talking about Pro Wrestling 225. I have a lot of unfinished business with that current champion, and I refuse to say his name. However, I have a feeling that once my business with the Mayor's Cup and reclaiming my SEC title is over with, I have a feeling that our prestigious champion in Pro Wrestling 225, who just had one hell of a back and forth fight last night against Corey Constantine. I have a feeling that me and him are going to cross paths in the very, very near future. So if by chance he's listening to this, I want him to know I have not forgot.
Well, if I know how in touch with the 225 audience and universe that the current champion is, I'm sure he will be listening, and I'm sure he'll hear what you have to say. Quite frankly, that's a match I want to see as well. And it seems like a lot of guys are, they have their eyes set on that bullseye that is on his back, and they are ready to go after him. All right, so
But no one more than me. No
absolutely
one
not.
more than me.
Of course not. Of course not. Before we wrap up here soon, because I know your time is valuable, and we don't have you for that long. I want to bring up some Facebook comments that I posted earlier asking if they were going to, and it seems like they don't take you seriously enough, and I apologize for that. But our good friend Bryce Boudreaux, who is an alum of our old podcast, Pro Wrestling Roundabout, back in the day, good old Bryce Boudreaux, and again I apologize. I'm just a messenger. He wants to know. He asks, quote, I'm quoting, quote. He said, "Why is he a stupidity head?" Now it seems, end quote. It seems you guys have some history and some
Let
beef. I
me
don't
tell
know.
you something about Bryce Boudreaux. He is a terrible human being, an awful human being. I watched him one time rack up a $300 meal ticket at a restaurant and didn't even tip the waitress. I've seen him destroy bathrooms. I've seen him steal from stores. He is an awful human being. And quite frankly, every time he takes a check for ring announcing, he's stealing from the company that he's working for.
Wow, wow. I don't know how much of that I can agree
Terrible
with.
human feeling. Terrible human being.
Well, I'll take your word on that. I'll take your word on that. Of course, it seems you guys have some stuff brewing back there. But and then one other question. This is from Newt Cox. He says, and specifically in all caps, so this seems like he's yelling at you. Quote, Koloff, where's my can of Coke? End quote. I don't know what that's about, but he just wants to know where his can of Coke is, apparently.
It's at the food stamp store. Go
Ooh,
apply for your food stamp. Go apply for your food stamps at the office, and then you can go get all the cans of Coke you want.
there you go. You heard it here first. All right. Vladimir, last thing I have for you, again, since your time is extremely valuable and we appreciate you being here. There is this hashtag that is everywhere that you are. It follows you, and I love it. The hashtag needs more Koloff. I quite frankly agree, but for the people at home who don't quite understand what that means, needs more Koloff. What does that mean to you?
Well, what it means to me is that this pro wrestling world is a unique place full of very different characters and individuals. But quite frankly, it's lacking something as far as I'm concerned. It's lacking the character, the entertainment value, the power, the intensity, the passion of a guy like Vladimir Koloff. So I believe that the wrestling world seriously lacks someone like me. I believe that everywhere in this pro wrestling world needs more Koloff. Everyone in their life needs more Koloff. This podcast right now needs more Koloff. The guy down the road, he needs more Koloff. That fine looking lady that's cheering for me in the front row, she needs more Koloff. Everyone needs more Koloff. That's what it means to me, quite frankly.
All right. Well, okay. Well, I thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you answering. And look, I really appreciate your time. Before we let you,
Speaking of this podcast, I've answered all these questions. When am I getting paid? When are you
oh,
paying me?
well, sorry. I thought our payment went through on PayPal. Is that still fine with you? Is
I
PayPal?
am not saying it, and quite frankly, I have a problem with this. I think you need to pay me right now, right now.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and send that. My apologies. My apologies, Vladimir. We'll go ahead and get that taken care of before we
You're
let you go.
making my patience thin.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Before we go ahead and let you go, I'm sending the payment through right now. Is there anything else that you would like to say to our audience and to the 225 audience and your audience before we go ahead and let you go and reclaim your valuable time?
Well, first of all, before I receive my payment and get off this podcast. Let me just say this. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Needs More Koloff. You can buy my merchandise at prowrestlingtees.com/needsmorekoloff or www.needsmorekoloff.com. As for Pro Wrestling 225 fans, you do not have to love me. You don't even have to respect me. I don't care. But you are going to have to live with me for a long time. That's in Houma this Saturday night. That's in Denham Springs in the future, or Plaquemine, or Mississippi, or anywhere else that Pro Wrestling 225 goes, because I mean it when I say I am the devil that you did not realize was in the bushes of Pro Wrestling 225. I am the one that will take Pro Wrestling 225 to greater levels. I am the one that will take over Pro Wrestling 225 for his own. I am the one that will reign supreme as the new king of Pro Wrestling 225. And why? Because Pro Wrestling 225 needs more Koloff.
Well, sir, Vladimir, I really do appreciate your time. Again, I apologize about the payment issue.
Are we done now? Are we done now?
Yes, sir. I was just going to do an outro for you. Okay.
Listen here. I'll do the outro, okay? This guy is going to pay Vladimir Koloff. If he doesn't pay Vladimir Koloff, then I'm going to come to his house and I'm going to hurt him and everyone who loves him.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
There it is. Goodbye. Send me my money. My patience is thin. My blood pressure is going up. You're making my face red.
Yes, sir. You got it, Vladimir. And look, okay. Well, there you go, guys. That was Vladimir Koloff, the brand new Gulf State Wrestling heavyweight champion. Just defeated Gil Gracie last night. And I guess that was our time. We're going to make sure the payment went through. We appreciate Vladimir for his valuable time. You can catch him next Saturday in Houma, Louisiana for Pro Wrestling 225's Mayor's Cup, round 1 against Jet Danger. If he can win that match, which who knows, he probably will. He's got the utmost confidence, and it's hard to beat Vladimir Koloff when he is this confident. So Mayor's Cup this weekend, August 19th in Houma, Louisiana, Pro Wrestling 225. Don't miss out. Get your tickets now. Thank you, guys. We love you. We appreciate you. Tailgate Kings out.